Hello and welcome to the Serverside.com presentation, Developing and Implementing Search Strategies Specifically for E-Commerce Sites. This presentation is being brought to you by Lucid Imagination. For more information on Lucid Imagination, you can click on their logo on the lower portion of your screen. My name is Tim Wynn and I'm the moderator for today's presentation. Joining me today is Grant Ingersoll, co-founder of Lucid Imagination, and Brian Dole, Search Architecture at SheetMusicPlus.com. Before we begin the presentation, I'd like to review a few housekeeping items with you. The slides for this presentation will be pushed to your screen automatically. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can type them in the Ask a Question area located on the right side of your viewing console, and they will be addressed at the end of the presentation. If you have any difficulty reading or viewing the slides, there is an enlarged slide button that you can click on the lower right hand, that you can click on just below the slides. The slides will also be available at the conclusion of this presentation, and a link will be provided by Lucid Imagination. And if you experience any technical difficulties with this presentation, there is a help link that you can click on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. With that said, I'm now going to turn things over to Grant to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Tim. So as Tim said, we're going to be talking about using Solr in an e-commerce situation. We're going to start off by I'll be taking a look at some of the general things that you might want to think about when it comes to e-commerce and Solr. And then I'm going to hand off to Brian, who's going to talk about his specific use cases at Sheet Music Plus and how they leverage Solr to increase their sales and revenue as driven by search. So just as brief introductions, as Tim said, my name is Grant Ingersoll. I'm a co-founder of Lucid Imagination. I'm also a Lucene, Solr, and Mahout committer. And I have with me Brian Dole, who is the search architect at Sheet Music Plus and who has a lot of background in e-commerce as well. So just so you know, just so we can set the stage a little bit, Solr is already used by a lot of people in e-commerce. And in fact, if you look at where Solr came from CNET in the very early days, it was powering a lot of their e-commerce sites and their reviews and things related to products and all of that. So what I have right here is a bunch of people that we know who have publicly declared that they use Solr for e-commerce, or they are clients of ours at Lucid Imagination, and we've helped them implement their e-commerce sites. So as you can see, there's a lot of very big names here, very household names that you may not even know when you go into their search box and you're searching for content or products that you're actually hitting a Solr server, powered, of course, by Lucene underneath. So just to kind of briefly touch on what we typically see from a number of our clients who are in e-commerce and what I've seen from people out in the user community in Solr who are running e-commerce situations. There's kind of two aspects I want to talk about, common scenarios that we see with customers this way. First and foremost, obviously, it never could be said, it's more true that users, if they can't find what they're looking for, they certainly can't buy it. So obviously, you want to make sure that you are able to get the product surfaced that they are looking for in a timely manner and at the top of the list that they can then click and buy. So search is often a very critical part to e-commerce. Now, along with that, what happens, though, is users, they don't necessarily know how to spell, especially when it comes to product names, things like iPod. How do you spell that? Is it one word? Is it two words? Does case matter? All of those kind of things play in. And if you've ever looked at query logs from an e-commerce site, you just know that there's a whole bunch of mistakes in there. And if that user had just done this one thing differently, then maybe they would have gotten better results. And oftentimes the users don't even know how to describe what they're looking for. As you'll see with Brian's talk later, there's some very interesting use cases about how people actually do searches on Sheet Music Plus and how difficult it might be in order to give them good results. So if somebody types in something, a very, very generic search term, what does that mean in terms of what kind of results you should surface? So those are all things you kind of want to think about as your users interact with your system. Now, what we see kind of on the customer side of what an online store typically looks like and what they're powering with search is you often see, depending on the size of the store, somewhere between, say, less than 500,000 typical SKUs, so 500,000 or so products, maybe 1 million products. Those are pretty